gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am here tonight as the representative for Brock Lesnar. The single most dominant, the single most decorated, the single most destructive athlete in the history of WWE, but a man, ladies and gentlemen, that has been booed and maligned and mistreated and underappreciated by the WWE audience since day one. Just like that. And that especially holds true for corporate management. Oh, come on. Today's WWE is so much different than it was 10 years ago when I first represented Brock Lesnar. Today's WWE it's so image conscious. But despite that fact, it was the Executive Vice President of Talent Relations and the General Manager for both Raw and SmackDown, John Laurinaitis, who signed Brock to a legitimate contract. Now, admittedly, Brock Lesnar, subsequent to that contract, made a few reasonable verbal demands which were agreed to on live television, which makes every single one of you a party to that agreement. Ladies and gentlemen, Brock Lesnar feels betrayed. Betrayed by the WWE Universe. And Brock Lesnar should not have to feel that way. Because Brock Lesnar is the only man in history to hold the NCAA Division I Heavyweight Wrestling Championship, the undisputed WWE Heavyweight Championship, and the undisputed UFC Heavyweight Championship of the world. And yet, above all else, I know, and you should know, that Brock Lesnar is an honest man. Brock Lesnar told you he was going to be an ass-kicking machine, and Brock Lesnar was an ass-kicking machine. Brock Lesnar told you he was going to hurt people, and Brock Lesnar hurt people. But instead of me standing out here and running down Brock Lesnar's accolades, I got one better for you. Tonight, Brock Lesnar asked me to personally come here and read to you his statement, the official statement of Brock Lesnar to you. And I quote, "I came back to bring legitimacy to WWE." That's exactly what I did. And how was I rewarded? With the same corporate BS and politics that led me to leave 8 years ago. I don't regret what I did to John Cena. I embarrassed him. Another guy I embarrassed was Triple H. He's always been jealous of me. Triple H lasted nearly 1 hour in a cell with The Undertaker, but he couldn't last 1 minute in a fight with me. Triple H tried to push his weight around because now he has an office job. I had an agreement with the company and he broke it, so I broke his arm. I don't care about Triple H. I don't care about you people, and I don't care about the corporate suits at WWE, because I, Brock Lesnar, am never coming back. Because I, Brock Lesnar, quit.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your host, Fearon.
Sit down, shut up, and
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Paul Heyman making the statement on behalf of Brock Lesnar that Lesnar quit, or is quitting, a mere month after coming back into the WWE. Looks like they've got something a little more long-term, but for now it's interesting to see where things are going. I like that Paul Heyman's going to be the spokesperson for Lesnar. That certainly helps on a number of levels. I mean, Heyman was always a great talking piece. I mean, going back to to the Dangerous Alliance days of 20 and change years ago. Has it been that long? Wow, yeah, 91 to 2012. Yeah, 21 years ago. Where has the time gone? But yeah, back to the Dangerous Alliance days. I mean, he's always been a great talking piece, and that always was, I mean, for the most part, that was Lesnar's kind of shortcoming. And when it comes to cutting a standard pro wrestling promo, he wasn't exactly the greatest at it. Those sit-down interviews that he's done, I mean, he seemed to excel at that from UFC. But, when it comes to almost in a sense of acting, don't let him act. Just let him go out there and be physical and have him do what he does. Lines have been kind of light, and I have a hunch it's because everybody's making their way over to George's Cards and Collectibles, and they don't want to be on their phones while driving. That'd be my guess, and can't say as I blame them. I mean, just over a half hour's time, you're going to be going to see the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, the WWE Hall of Famer, the former WWE Tag Team Champion, along with IRS, Erwin R. Shyster, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. He'll be at George's Cards and Collectibles, right at New Falls Road, just by Bucks County Tech High School. And that'll be going on from 1 until 3 o'clock this afternoon. So make your way over there. Make sure you're tuned in here to BCB on the way over. And I'll make sure to make my way over there as soon as the show's over. After, of course, archiving the show and all that. And I'll have the archive of this show up on YouTube later tonight in the overnight. And speaking of the overnight, I actually got a call for my preview of my overnight show earlier this morning. Ed from the Northeast, who usually chimes in during this time, give a look at the local scene. He wanted me to pass the message along at CZW. They're going to be in Parkwood tonight, and that's going to be a 7 o'clock bell time. A little bit out of the way, but not too much, actually. It's right on Mechanicsville Road in Philadelphia, the Parkwood Youth Organization. That's didn't quite understand that, but I've got my notes here. CZW Proving Grounds. And, of course, if you can't make it there physically, you can also check it out on iPay-per-view as well. You've got Danny Havoc against Drew Gulak in a no-ropes barbed wire match. That definitely a bitter rivalry between them. And you can check that out either in person at the Parkwood Youth Organization, or you can check it out on iPay-per-view as well. Just a little message there from Ed from the Northeast, always keeping us informed as far as a look at the local scene. Some other news and notes, and then we'll get to the predictions certain to go wrong for Sacrifice. We'll get that coming up in the third segment, kind of switch things around a little bit. WWE, they have released Dustin Runnels, who you might know better as Goldust, and that's, of course, according to Dave Scherer of PWInsider.com. Runnels had been working for the company as a producer behind the scenes, but that appears to be the case no more. And it was also announced that that Runnels or Goldust will be available for various bookings. I don't know, maybe we'll have to ask behind the scenes. Maybe that'll be the next person we'll be seeing down the road here. But I don't want to start rumors. We got enough people who do that around here. And by here, I mean the world of professional wrestling, of course. Kofi Kingston, he noted that he taped an episode of Fact or Faked Paranormal Files for the Sci-Fi Network. He wrote in his Twitter, Austin Porter, Lanisha Cole, Bill P. Murphy, and the whole crew are true pros. Had a blast. The episode is going to be great. And speaking of Kofi, he and partner R-Truth, well, they're a tag team, but they don't have a team name, and WWE is looking for your help to provide them with a name. They're asking fans to vote for names on the R-Truth and Kofi Kingston tag team. Here are the options that they've given. Can you come up with anything better? Air Truth, Kaboom, R-Boom, Truth in Paradise, and Air Jimmy. Those are the 5 options they're given. And looking at the smirk on Wild Bill Melody's face, he's not liking a single one of them. And I can't say as I blame him. So if you got something better than those, by all means, I'm ready to hear it. We'll send it up the chain to Stamford, Connecticut there, and pass it Vince McMahon's way. And also, while you're on the line, we're looking for your memories of some famous or infamous pro wrestling moms, and got a few certainly in there that a few that I thought of. Some a little more obscure than others. Also, one other bit of news: WWE Hall of Famer Steve Austin. He'll be the host of the new reality competition series Redneck Island. The series will feature 12 Americans from the South, moving them to a tropical location where they will compete for $100,000. It's basically a redneck edition of Survivor. That's probably the best way I can explain it. The 10-episode series has been picked up by CMT. That's the Country Music Television Network. And, of course, Steve Austin will be the host of that. Should be interesting. I guess since it doesn't look like they've renewed Tough Enough for a second season, hey, it's good to see he's getting some hosting work in there. Anyway, let's go over to the phones. We've got John from the Northeast. I can only imagine what contributions he's got. John, welcome to the program.
Is that new Austin show going to be sponsored or endorsed or maybe even filmed at a Walmart, or is that just going to be a?
Well, I don't know. Do they have Walmarts at tropical locations?
I won't rule it out.
Yeah, true. With as much as they've expanded, it's hard to say.
But because you were talking about Brock Lesnar, to me, it's starting to look like, to me anyway. And by the way, a lot of people say, "Oh, well, he was UFC heavyweight champion." Well, 3 fights into his career, he already got the title shot. I think it was more or less. I mean, I'm not saying Dana White was trying to, put over, but he really wanted Brock Lesnar to be a success and to be huge. And it's not that he couldn't do it. I just think that there was just so many other guys that were there. I mean, you saw the last fight with Alistair Overeem. He was clearly
outmatched.
Out of his element, clearly.
Yeah, that was just a matter of not really being seasoned enough and kind of, again, too much too soon. I mean, a lot of people said that about, the blue chipper Rocky Maivia when they gave him the Intercontinental title, 3 months in?
Yeah.
If that. I know I'm going back about 15 years, but...
That was when he was wearing the streamers and those... Yeah,
he had the blue streamers and that Chia Pet haircut. I mean, those were great times.
But it's just amazing, with the whole Brock Lesnar. Just to me personally, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make him that force and the character that he's being now. Of course, he's picking up where he left off, but I think he's more or less trying to become what he wanted to be in UFC. That one guy that is feared and has no limits or anything like that. That's ultimately what I think they're trying to do. But I agree completely. He and a mic just don't get along. It's atrocious how he can't even cut a wrestling promo. His in-ring work saves him. He couldn't even do, I could tell when he was doing interviews post-fight and pre-fight at UFC that it was just awkward even interviewing him. It just didn't look right. He just didn't want to do it. Yeah,
the only time that he looked comfortable was, after that one win where he was just healing it up for the fans who were just, and I think it might have been after his first fight that he had won. And at that point, the UFC, they didn't want a fake wrestler coming into their real fighting environment, so he was automatically a heel and just got booed, and then he just, soaked in the booze even more and basically said something to the effect of, now that I've won, I'm going to go home and sleep with my beautiful wife, and that just garnered even more booze. It was great. It was classic. And, hey, if I were able to go home with Sable, I'd gloat about that too.
Didn't he give the fans the old number one?
I believe he did as well. Yes, that'll certainly earn a little bit of heat as well.
Yeah, he wins his fight. It wasn't even a title fight, and he just tells the fans who's number one, and it just boggles my mind. It's like you didn't. It was a rematch first of all of a fight he previously lost, so it wasn't like he was having any kind of retribution. He went 2 for 3 in those fights. But it's like I said, I feel like his WWE character now coming back afterwards is trying to be that character or that persona or that personality that he wanted to have in UFC, and he just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, it's like a UFC version of Goldberg is what they're trying to go for, or something, without the pyro and the banging on the locker room door and the walk to the. Yeah, okay, maybe it's not like Goldberg at all. That was a horrible comparison.
Punching the driver's side window 4 times, it doesn't break.
Oh man.
Oh.
Was that the aggravated assault night, if I remember right?
Yeah.
That was the finger poke of doom night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That all led up to the finger poke of doom.
See, that just gets me right there. And since we're on that subject of just, I'm only going to bring up one of uncomfortable, because I was thinking about it, and then it just came to my mind.
Well, I thought save it. We'll save it for the second, because, I want to do like a whole deal on that, like a whole show.
Yeah.
Just focusing on that. But, give me your memories. I was going to say, we'll stick with this week's topic. Give me your memories of various pro wrestling moms.
Well, of course, Linda McMahon, always the first one. Because,
the various family feuds. She being, in one of the corners of that 4 corners match from WrestleMania 2000. Along with Vince, Shane, and Stephanie, the comatose storyline with her, in the wheelchair. Or not comatose, catatonic state. That's what it was.
Yeah, and it was kind of like when the limo blew up and the FIC had to show up and not the FBI.
Yeah.
They just didn't want to be involved in the shenanigans that go on over there. But just the fact that it's still in my mind, I still laugh about it when I think about it, is when just the whole divorce proceedings that they had in the storyline, and just Vince McMahon screaming at her, "I want a divorce!"
Oh yeah, I want a divorce! Oh my gosh!
He fires everybody. It was just amazing.
But that was back when Vince had some semblance of vocal cords.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because he still does that dopey walk every now and then when you see him. But back then it was just all in with just him and his wife and his family, and believe me, it gets tiring after about 8 months into it, but it does have its moments. But she's always been the one that stands out the most. Then you got Mrs. Hart, obviously one of the first wrestling families.
I guess because she was just there as kind of like a supporter and wasn't as involved so much in storylines. Helen Hart didn't exactly come to mind right away.
It's just one of those things, and especially because we're coming up, or we've already passed the anniversary. I'm not sure if it's which end of it we're on.
Well, what would have been Owen's? Quick math here. 47th birthday.
Wow.
That would have been this past week.
Yeah.
But no, over the over the edge. That's the 23rd. That'll be about a week and a half from now. We'll hit up the 13-year anniversary of Owen's passing.
On their website, the WWE's website, I should say, they're doing like a top WWE in your house moments. And I remember like when In Your House became like the name of the pay-per-view, and they had like a subtitle, like it was supposed to.
Oh yeah, like there was Good Friends, Better Enemies, and what was that? Beware of Dog.
Didn't SummerSlam have, or Survivor Series had one? It was Deadly Games.
Yeah, there's Survivor Series Deadly Game in '98.
Oof. But I'll give them credit where it's due. They were at least trying. Nowadays, they just recycle. They don't know what they're doing. But it goes all the way back to that. It goes back to the creativity angle of it, and this, because I know I only named 2 moms. I can really only think of 2. But to transition to something else, you were talking about because we're going to hint at since we talked about divorce. I actually read that story, and I'll tell you, at least he won't end up like Hulk Hogan.
Well, yeah, we'll let that cat out of the bag now. John Cena has filed for a divorce from his wife, Liz Huberdeau. So, yeah, all the single ladies out there, they're...
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The Marines of it. Well, not the Marine from the first film.
Yeah, the Marine from the first film, as opposed to the second one, which was Ted DiBiase Jr., not to be compared with Ted DiBiase Sr., who's going to be at George's Cards and Collectibles from 1 to 3 today. And obviously not to be confused with The Miz, who will be in the third of these movies, the Marine movies.
We're going to get them off camera for a while, but then we're going to have to hear about the trailer for the movie and the build-up to it's enough with The Miz. But you can clearly see that the fans have shared in that. Like, now it's just like...
Well, he's been made completely irrelevant.
Yeah,
totally.
I mean,
he and Jericho both have made so many claims and haven't backed them up. It's destroyed any credibility that they've had.
I'm just glad they're off from that Jericho CM Punk angle, and now they're going to move to an angle that I think a lot of us have been waiting for. I think that may actually be one of the best matches of the year, if pulled off correctly, would be the match I'm looking forward to, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk.
At Over the Limit, yeah. As long as they don't make it go 18 seconds.
I still can't get over that. Like I said, I missed the first 45 minutes of WrestleMania because of the whole debacle with Comcast. And
oh yeah, that was a disaster that night.
And I said to myself, I'm reading the online review of the show, like in live card, I should say. And it said, well, if I had gotten back within 15 seconds, I'd have been able to see the first match. It was just 18 seconds in, and this is a match that people wanted to see.
Oh, yeah. And they to their credit, they had that 2 out of 3 falls match and tore the house down like everybody expected them to, 13 months after the fact.
Do we call that the bro kick of doom, or do we just leave it as the 18-second match from WrestleMania?
See, I don't know, because then you could go back to the jackknife of doom with Diesel and Bob Backlund from Madison Square Garden 3 days after the '94 Survivor Series. Wow, where did I pull that one from?
At a house show, not even a taped show.
Yeah, no, that was back when they had title changes at house shows.
Yeah, and before the internet.
Yes.
Well, before really.
Well, true. This is, this was like just before, the World Wrestling Federation was springing up on AOL 3.0. That was the big, on your 14 4K dial-up.
With your X-Site at home, which went bankrupt, and Comcast bought the servers. But it was like, my whole thing is just that, if done correctly, like I said, that could be a potential match of the year, but we'll wait and see. I mean, Rock Cena, Taker, H3 was, 2. Well, it could be 3. They wrestled 3 times WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But those 2 matches right there. But because Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, for those in the know, and CM Punk have had several independent matches, and they're just spectacular matches, Ring of Honor and whatever else. Most of those independent circuits I find in Botchamania videos, which I like a lot. But a lot of those matches go over very well with the fans, and I think a lot of us that watch them on TV are going to be really excited to see this match. It's going to be real good. Although the rest of the card, maybe not as much, but it's good to have that in there.
Well, I mean, let's take a quick look at the lineup, and then I got to unfortunately roll. But, you've got Kofi Kingston and R-Truth, the yet-to-be-named tag team against Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger. I mean, this tag team title match should pretty much be 4 guys who are in dire needs of pushes and have been buried for the better part of the last year and a half.
Well, out of the 4, 1 was getting a push.
True. Truth was getting a push, and then he got suspended for violating the wellness policy, and that pretty much, Yeah,
while he was injured and hasn't been wrestling in 8 months.
Exactly. Craziness. But, you've got that. You've got Layla and Beth Phoenix for the Divas Championship. Okay, I think everybody's still on hold until Karma comes back. Cena and Laurinaitis.
I just... first of all, he sounds like Super Dave Osborne. Mm-hmm. And what really gets him, it's just, Vince McMahon at least had a persona and at least had a character. I mean, I know he's the man in charge of the company and all, but this is a guy that's completely dry and bland. You can't really do much with him. So putting him in there with Cena, it makes you think, what, are they using Laurinaitis to get Cena over with the fans? Cena will still get booed mercilessly, whether it's actual boos or recorded boos that are played over the PA system.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the obligatory Shane Douglas run-in or involvement or something, because it seems like they can't get away from they have recently, but for a while they couldn't get away from the dynamic dudes references.
Prince Albert, Lord Tensai will have to be involved, and it'll just be ridiculous.
Yeah, and then, of course, Sheamus, Jericho, Alberto Del Rio, and Randy Orton for the world title. It's a bit of a cluster, but at least they're mixing it up a little bit.
Yeah, you got some guy coming off. You got, over the ropes, kind of fast pace a little bit. But, that match could go either way. I think ultimately, Jericho maybe walks away from that one winning, depending on when his tour starts.
Mm-hmm. With Fozzy, yeah.
Yeah, he's not doing a comeback tour. It's like he was on Twitter talking about the Fozzy comeback shows. And I'm saying, he's going on tour. So he just gave away the WrestleMania ending.
Yeah.
And then he corrected somebody, saying it's only 2 shows I'm doing more on.
Yeah, it's not a lengthy tour.
No, it won't be Guns N' Roses at the Hall of Fame, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. All right, thanks for the call, John. I got to roll, take care of some business. Appreciate it as always.
Take care.
All right, thank you. Let's take care of some business, come back. I got the Sacrifice predictions starting to go wrong. A little bit more news and notes. I'll get into more detail about Cena, and we'll squeeze in a call from you as well. 215-949-3232 or toll free at 888-922-2149. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.